evening, everybody. It's just so wonderful to be back with the Kidney Warriors Foundation. And today we are on our Warriors Journal number 4. What is special about a dialysis diet? And who better to tell us than our very own Ipshita Di? That's how I call her, because, of course, the two girls from Bengal always have a lot of fun chit-chatting about everything that we love about our part of the world. You know that Ipshita Di has been working with the Kidney Warriors Foundation, and today she is going to be here who as the chief dietitian of CMRI, which is basically the Calcutta Medical Research Institute. We have got 3 of our patients, or rather our friends, who have sent the diet charts to Ipshita Di, and that would be Farooq, Tejas, and Sejal. Each one of them from different backgrounds and different kinds of problems, or rather, sometimes not even problems. But you get confused with what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat. So today we have Ipshita Di actually telling us everything that we want to know about this particular form of eating. Right now, we're going to go first up with the first slide that we're going to be talking about, or rather the PDF on diet, and that would be of our friend Farooq. Farooq says he's in a very good condition. God bless you. It's so nice to hear that. He is an editor for a community magazine in Mumbai and a trustee for 3 schools for girls and also part of a heritage foundation. Thank you so much for being here. And we're truly, truly happy to know that you have got your finger stuck in so many pies. I just hope you're not licking any of it off. Hi, Farooq. Just say hi to all of us so that everyone can hear you and know that you are with us live today.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to this forum.
Yes. And now we request Dr. Ipshita to go on to Farooq's file and discuss basically what his food is, how it's working for him, what he should change. And of course, everybody on Facebook Live, thank you for joining us. We would also like to tell you that we are talking mainly about a dialysis diet. So if you have any questions, do post it there and we will take it as soon as we finish with these 3. I also need to tell you that we're from all over. There are few people sitting in Bombay, there are few people sitting in Kolkata, there are few people sitting here and there and everywhere. So sometimes the technology takes a little bit to form and get rooted. So don't worry about the delay. We're happy to be here anyway.
Okay. Oh, can you come on the phone?
Ipshita Di, are you there? You have to unmute yourself, Ipshita Di.
Hopefully it will work now. There are lots of technical problems are happening today.
No, that's okay. I suppose it's just like, as they say, na, itne grahas and nakshatras ek saath mil rahe. All the superstars of this group are together. So don't worry about anything. We're so happy to have you here, doctor. So we start with Farooq and his charts.
Thank you, sir. Let me share. Host disabled participant screen sharing. It's showing. Can I get that? Otherwise, I won't be able to share.
Vasundhara ma'am, can you make her the co-host so that she can share her screen? Yeah. Ipshita ma'am, you're now the co-host. You can share your screens now.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's visible.
Hope it's visible.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Farooq, I have calculated yours. You can see like the red ones are the total of one particular meal, the way I could calculate yours. And the total highlighted in yellow, that is the total intake. Like protein is 76.32. It's on dialysis day. Carbs are 300.83, sugar 2.86, fat is 43.5, phosphorus 1827, potassium 2783, calcium 992, and total calories, your intake is 2015, you can say. It's on a dialysis day.
Okay.
And on a non-dialysis day, let me show it to you so that this is your total protein intake, 559, you can say. 249 grams of carb, 30.15 is sugar, and fat is 23, phosphorus 937, potassium is 2476, calcium is 557, 57, and calories are 1490. That's your intake on a non-dialysis day.
Okay.
Now you're basically, you are, whatever you have shared in the sheet, you are leading a healthy life, and touch wood for that. Low BP during later stage of the dialysis. Your main thing is you are not having any salt. The salt is added on table on the dialysis day only.
Correct.
So my question is, so are you always, your sodium is on the higher side? What is the status?
No, my sodium, I just got my reports today. It is 135.
Okay. Then why don't you put on little salt on other days also? Just because of your sodium, I think your BP is getting lower on dialysis days. And the salt is added during dialysis. How much salt you are using for one particular like a day? The day you are having salt?
I use table salt, so about 6 shakes of the salt shaker. I don't measure it.
Okay.
And
Around
only in one
6
meal.
grams, I can say. Around 6 grams, I can say.
Okay.
But you are having that only for how many days of dialysis you are having? Thrice
3
a week?
days. 3 days.
3 days. So on those 3 days you are having salt, but on non-dialyzed day you don't have salts. At least 2 to 3 grams of salt are required, because as you know, sodium maintenance is very much required for a non-dialyzed, dialyzed, both cases. And on top of that, the day you are having dialysis, because of that fluid loss and everything, your BP is getting lower.
Okay.
And there's pain in the, because of that shoulder pains and cramps in the jaw, because of all those things.
Okay. I shall start.
Okay, so you can add, yeah, you can add that also. And calorie wise, you are having good, no issues for that. Fat is also good. And one thing I should share for 3 of you who are there.
Can't hear.
Ipshita Di, we can't
Am I
hear you
audible?
right now. Now you are.
Okay, okay. So
Again, it's gone.
normally
দাঁড়াও, আবার চলে গেছে।
দেখি আমি একটা হেডফোন ইউজ করে যদি পারি।
No, now it's okay. Now it's okay. Stay where
Is
you
it
are. It's
okay,
okay now.
aunty?
Yes, now it's okay.
Okay, okay.
Again, it's cracking, doctor. Maybe if you keep your video off and speak, maybe you'd have less problem. For all of you who've joined us right now on Facebook Live, we are here to discuss dialysis diets. Today, Dr. Ipshita has actually come on with us. She's having a couple of moments of technical problems, but she will join us. What we're really doing right now is highlighting everybody's diets and what they eat on dialysis or non-dialysis day. The person who is being discussed right now is Farooq, and he basically has said he maintains a very healthy life. Though, when you give your charts up to a dietitian, what happens is they kind of tell you whether you're eating the right amount of sodium, the right amount of phosphorus, the right amount of potassium, fats, protein, carbs, etc. And they do calculations to show you how your carbs can turn into sugars and how your salt, if it's too low, can actually not be that good for you. So we're just hoping that we get our connections all back on. And the idea is to make sure that you all lead healthier lives and get inspired by the fact that if you keep a daily diary of what you eat, sometimes it is easier for you to notice where you're going wrong. Because the moment you start putting pen to paper or typing into your phone with a gadget, whether you're using an app or not, it just makes it easier for you to recall. And if you do suddenly have any kind of changes in your labs, you could actually speak to a dietitian who would be able to tell you immediately what is wrong with what you have been doing. So till now, to brief things up for you, Farooq says he has a perfectly normal life. He's extremely busy, and he's an editor of a magazine. He's part of being a trustee for 3 girls' schools and also part of a heritage foundation. He actually eats really healthy, but according to Dr. Ipshita, he should increase his salt content. Is that right? Is that what she said, Farooq?
That is right. That is right. I was
And the
being
reason
overcautious.
you were being overcautious, but that's okay. It's all never too bad to be overcautious. But it's nice when you've been overcautious and somebody says, okay, you can have a little more every day. It makes you feel much, much better, right? So that's the whole idea, to make sure that people know what they're doing so that you don't get cramps and all the other problems that are associated with extremely low sodium. So have you ever had any problems while you have been on dialysis, Farooq? We're going to hope that Vasu ma'am is going to try and call up Ipshita Di. Okay, she's back on. In the meanwhile, I must talk to you about another person who's there this evening, and that is Tejas Bharti, Dr. Tejas Bharti. Yes, she's from Bangalore and been on dialysis for 12 years. She has worked as a scientist in various pharmaceutical companies for 20 years and left her job in 2023 due to a lot of health issues. But that doesn't stop her from working from home and having hobbies such as painting. Ipshita Di, are you back? Welcome to the program today, Tejas? You'll have to unmute yourself.
Yes,
Hi,
I'm back.
everybody. Hi, ma'am. Hi,
Yeah,
doctor.
Ipshita, hello.
I have joined from the mobile itself because nothing is happening. I don't know what's wrong with my Wi-Fi. Totally full power, full strength, but it's getting disconnected. I don't
Doesn't
know.
matter. You
Technical
just talk to
glitch.
us.
Hmm.
So you were telling us about Farouk's diet, and you
Hmm.
went through and you've advised him to take extra little bit more of salt, right?
Yes, yes. And what I would suggest, like a little extra on the potassium and little extra on the phosphorus. What I have seen in Farouk's diet, the total intake. So for that, I would request little like dal, the rich sources of potassium. When your what is your normal potassium range? How do you maintain it, Mr. Farouk?
So actually, Mr. Farouk has said that he is a very cautious, or rather a very overcautious person. So that is why he is not having many problems and he lives, as he calls it, a healthy life, because he's very overcautious. So it's good news to know that he actually
Absolutely.
underplays. Yes, he actually keeps all his parameters below. So, you don't really have to worry about anything.
Okay, if you can maintain and if all your parameters are within normal limits, then I would say go for it. But little salt, I would suggest add little salt on a non-dialysis day, because that I think that will help your maintenance of your low BP situation on your dialysis days. That can manage.
All right. Now we move on, Dr. Chakravarti, to Dr. Tejas Bharti, who is with us today. She's a scientist in pharmaceutical studies, and she has stopped working from 2023 because of her health problems. But she still does work from home. She looks happy, and she also has hobbies such as painting. So, you have read Tejas's file. What did you think? And Tejas, you also can ask ma'am whatever questions you'd like to.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've seen your thing due to vertigo. So why is it because of low BP or you have a neurological this thing? What's up? What's your problem exactly?
I didn't have a neurological problem as such, ma'am. It was just
Hmm.
like last month, I had started with the seizures because I had some infections with the perm cap, continuous infections.
Okay,
So
okay,
that probably would have induced with the seizures, and I'm on medication for the seizures.
okay.
But now the issue is for me is the last half an hour I have this severe itching problem. What the doctor says, it's also because of the medications which I'm on for the seizures,
Hmm.
and my immunity is pretty low. I mean, I that's what triggered every time for the infection. Although I was quite careful, and my potassium is always on the higher side. Although I don't take any of those coconut or the fruits,
Hmm.
maybe fruits once in a while. I mean, once in a week or so, but not on every dialysis. But then still, my potassium is always on the higher side.
Okay. But I would suggest like please keep your potassium within normal limits, because potassium is such a thing. You all are like prolonged dialysis patient, which might cause, it's an emergency situation develops if potassium goes high. So that you have to keep a close eye on that. So let me share your screen at just a minute. Okay, I'm not able to share it because I'm not a this thing, but I'm just sharing whatever I've calculated your total intake for the day. Your protein comes, on a dialysis day, your protein comes to 55.5 and carbs 163, sugar is 23, fat is around 60 grams, phosphorus is 512, and potassium is 939, calcium is 545, and total calories comes to 1252. That's your dialysis day intake.
Okay.
And for your non-dialysis day intake, I really don't know like what you had shared. I have calculated it accordingly. But your non-dialysis day intake, I think you have written it wrongly, because non-dialysis day, your protein intake comes to 94.3. I think that sheet that written in at the below, I think that is wrong. Otherwise, on a non-dialyzed day, it cannot be 94.3, because you are having eggs and all for breakfast, for dinner, and it seems that you are a vegetarian only.
It's like once in 3 days in a week I generally have eggs. Otherwise, I don't have regularly, and it's only on the I don't have carbs. I mean rice at night. It's only during the lunchtime I have rice.
Okay.
So generally the tiffin goes whatever the breakfast I have. The tiffin is I take in either evening or night.
Okay. And for your this day, 184 is your carbs, 45 sugar, 48 fat, 678.2 is your phosphorus, 932 is your potassium, calcium is 727, and calories are around 751. So I think the sheet is being name of the sheet is wrong, because this is your dialysis day thing. What I believe. You can only tell me that you are having eggs for breakfast, you are having eggs for dinner. So I think that is yes.
No, that's my non-dialysis day. Generally on the dialysis day, I have something like a little heavy breakfast, because evening after dialysis also, since I'll be pretty hungry, I generally have a little something like chapati, where it takes time for digestion, something of that sort.
Okay.
Or idlis or paddus, those kind of things. So it takes a longer. I mean, it is more stable compared to omelette, because omelette is like a small omelette and just a slice of bread.
Okay, I got it. Got your point. Okay. And you have any queries? Otherwise, I have shared what I have calculated from your sheet, the Excel sheet, what you have shared basically.
Yes, ma'am. The main concern is for me the potassium, because I do keep 1.5 hour prior first 1.5 hour potassium free cans, but still my potassium, although my vegetables are leached, my I don't take coconut or I don't take any fruits, but still the potassium is on the higher side. So that is one concern. Since it's been almost like even my phosphorus was little higher side, but since 1.5 2 months, it's come back to control.
Okay.
And my food is generally basically I prefer having curd rice. So
That
doctors
I have
always,
seen. That I have
yeah.
seen.
So they always tell me to cut down, and that's the only thing which I regularly have. And my appetite as such is not that great. I mean, for past few months, it's not been that great.
Yeah, sometimes a few people have a tendency to have their potassium on the line. Your potassium is always 5 plus, or it's on the border.
It's always 5.5 plus, and doctors also say they are surprised, and they say maybe some medications, few of my BP medications is also adding up to, and my body
Yes,
structure is
elevated.
also adding up to it.
Even this is a personal experience. My one of my cousins, he is also having the same problem. Rest are absolutely fine, but his potassium, he totally follow what I say. Even extra, I mean, whatever I say, he reduced that also. But still, his potassium is always 5.5, 5.4, 5.6. It's like that only. Maybe constitutional thing.
Yeah.
Because what you are having is absolutely perfect. You are not having anything wrong, actually. It should not be like this.
Okay. And is there any diet plan where I could reduce on vertigo? I know it's something I am not very sure.
Vertigo cannot be controlled through diet. That's pretty sure about that. That's why I asked you, do you have any neurological problem and all? Because sometimes because of low BP, sometimes because of this spine issues and all, you might face this vertigo problem. Otherwise, it should not be. Dietary intervention to reduce the vertigo. I'm sorry, I am helpless.
I know. I thought it was just one question. Just wanted to improve my immunity because if my immunity goes low, again infection, because I'm on the perm cath, it becomes really difficult to handle as well. So improve my immunity, any particular stable food which I need to increase or something? Ma'am?
But what you are having is absolutely fine. I don't find anything wrong in your diet, or I cannot find anything which might cause any low immunity, and you are missing out on something as a nutrient. You are not that.
Okay.
Even you are having nuts also. You are having little nuts also, like which we usually say that it's good for immunity, and you are having fruits. You are having everything what, as a dialysis patient, you are supposed to take.
Okay, ma'am.
Dr. Ipshita, Farooq is back here. So you had some questions towards him. She actually asked, well, how do you maintain everything? I answered for you, but now that you're here, you can start conversing with the doctor and ask her your own questions as well.
Yeah, Mr. Farooq, if you have anything to ask me.
Yes, doctor, what happens is that my phosphorus also, sorry, my potassium also, just like Tejas, is always on the borderline. It's between 5.2 and 5.5. Uh, I try to restrict to only one fruit a day, but sometimes when I have to, I compensate by not having one on the next day. Is there anything I can reduce to reduce my potassium?
See, rich in potassium, basically dal and dal products. Few vegetables are there, like green leafy vegetables, which are rich in potassium. And fruits also, like few fruits are rich in potassium, but the fruits which you are having, like that is like you can, like apple, pears, little bit of pineapple. These are all within below, because see, all fruits have potassium. Few are on the higher side, few are on the lower side. So what we can
I
prescribe,
stick to
you
the
are
6 recommended one.
so you are taking those only. So do you take any green leafy vegetables like soup or any saag type ka cheese, anything of that sort?
Spinach sometimes, but after leaching.
But leaching also, I can say maybe 40, depending on the vegetable, not 100%
No,
of
not
potassium
not
good.
lychee. Not
Pardon?
lychee. After leaching the spinach.
I am talking about leaching. Leaching doesn't
Okay.
remove 100% of potassium. In few 40
Okay.
to 60% ranges vary. Ranges vary. So I would suggest, when you are like, you see that your potassium is on the higher side, so stick to one fruit, and don't take any green leafy vegetables. And dal, if you at all want to take, you have the thicker portion, because when you boil dal, whatever has come out, it comes out on the top, on the fluid itself. So because that's one sort of leaching of dal also. So if you want to have dal, have it from the bottom. Don't have the upper part, the thinner part, which contains a good amount of potassium. And in that way, you can control your fluid also, because your fluid is also restricted. So that is the way you can manage. Otherwise, because three of you who have shared your dietary intake, absolutely fine. Absolutely. I couldn't find anything like you are having something wrong. And because of that, you are facing these issues. It's not that. Have you ever consulted your nephrologist because of medications and all? Is it happening? This
Oh
potassium
yeah,
elevation?
no. Earlier I used to be on K-bind, but that stopped now.
Okay. And your still your potassium is always 5+.
5.2, 5.4.
Again, this congenital thing, as I was sharing with Dr. Bharti.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that. And am I okay on the sugar front?
You are not diabetic.
I am.
Just a minute. You are diabetic, yeah. And your total sugar intake, let me see. Just a minute. Let me see your slide. Just a minute. your sugar intake basically comes from the day you are having ice cream. Direct sugar is coming from that. The day you are having ice cream. And yes, that is the main thing. Only your sugar comes from that, nothing else. Little bit of sugar, whatever is coming from other, like invisible natural sugar is also there in the food, like fruits, sucrose, fructose, these are all there. That minimum thing you require, you need to have. For normal, smooth brain functioning also, you need to have a little bit of sugar. Otherwise, your direct sugar comes from the day you are having ice cream. No other sources.
That's once a week, doctor.
Yeah, only that day.
Okay. And
All
the
right.
overall potassium is okay?
Your total potassium, again, it's on the little on the, your is 2475. It has come. Okay.
It should be 2000.
It should be within 2000. I'm just
All right.
sharing what can be the good sources, like one bowl of dal, if I consider like 25 grams, if I consider, then that case potassium is little on the higher side. And what are the main sources of your potassium? I am saying ice cream was also showing around 200 when you are having. And rotis, usually rotis have little bit of a higher range of potassium if you consider that way. And that's all. That's all. That these are the
All right.
basic sources.
Okay. Thank you.
Basic source.
Thank you so much, Farooq, for sharing your little ice cream story as well. And Dr. Chakravarti, now we move to Sejal. Everybody in Kidney Warriors Foundation knows Sejal. She is considered to be the person who is like the warrior princess. And I'm really happy to know that everything she eats is actually being good for her, because she does a lot of things which are not good for her diet. So, Sejal, now ma'am is going to talk to you about your diet, and then you can ask her your questions as well.
To start with, I would request Sejal to reduce your body weight. That
Hello,
is
doctor. I
the...
cannot hear. I cannot hear, so my nephew is helping me. My main problems are potassium, phosphorus, and PTH.
Okay. PTH exactly cannot be done through controlled through diet actually.
Okay.
Because of renal problems, it happens usually. PTH is on the higher side, so that is being controlled by the nephrologist with medication. Potassium is such a thing which
I am on injections also. I am on injections to lower my PTH, but it has not helped me much. My level is 2000.
That's pretty high.
Yes.
That's pretty high. And like what I would suggest, you need to reduce your body weight also. Considering a height, you are on the obese side. So reduce your body weight. But again, I have gone through your diet. Your diet is not too much. Even I would suggest you can a little increase on the protein side also. Because on a dialysis day, what you have shared, that also you can increase. Little bit of increase in the... Don't you take any non-veg items? Only eggs?
No. Yes.
Doctor, my main issue is cooking food. Special meals is not possible. So I can manage one pot meals.
Okay.
I can't make special breakfast, lunch, different things. So something that is easier for me.
Okay. I got it.
Doctor, I also need to add that actually Sejal has been bedridden nearly for 2 years because she's had multiple falls and broken her bones. So
that I've seen. And in that sheet, it's written also.
Yes. So actually, during the post-surgery, she has actually lost weight, but it's impossible for her to deal with everyday cooking. And as a result, sometimes what happens is, with the lack of movement also, she has actually lost about 12 kilos. But with the lack of movement, because she's scared, her bones are brittle. But her issues are, as she says, is her PTH, her potassium, and her phosphorus.
And sorry,
my bone doctor has asked us to lose 10 kilos more.
But your intake is absolutely not too much. Yes, Mr. Sachin, you wanted to say
Sorry,
something?
I just wanted to say something, ma'am. Actually, Sejal represents a lot of patients from our community who have undergone surgery and are recovering from surgery.
Okay,
So
okay.
we wanted to know basically what kind of diet can help us recover our strength back. And like in Sejal's case, she's dealing with having to, lower her weight as well at the same time. There are a lot of people like her. So is there anything to reduce or add in her diet? Something, any meal prepping, like, can we prepare some meals in advance? Or like in Sejal's case, she's not able to cook every day. So are there any diet suggestions specific to that?
Sejal, I would suggest, like, for weight reduction, you totally stop sugar from your diet. Because sugar has nothing to do with internal nutritional importance. It's only tongue, no else. We call it, in our language, we call it white poison. So it's nothing but taste. So you can switch over to either to stevia or sucralose, so that you can have that sweet taste. At the same time, you can reduce your calorie intake. First point. Second point is Nepro HP. You have like 1.2 liters of fluid, and that also you are adding 2 scoops in 200 ml. Nepro HP has in a very small amount of water, it can be diluted. So instead of having 2 scoops, you can increase like 4 scoops also you can.
Okay.
Okay. That will add up to your calorie and it will keep you full. So when you are there's a gap, like in the evening or at bedtime, you might feel hungry. So at 11 o'clock in the morning. So these are the timings when you can have Nepro with a small, because you are a normal person, so you can you reduce the dilution volume. Don't add 2 scoops in 200 ml. You better do it 4 scoops in 100 ml, because that will be diluted, and if it's little thicker also, that's not an issue at all. You will get your calorie equation.
My sugar is very low.
I understand your sugar is very low, but the main problem is I am trying to control, because you cannot go in for exercise, you can go in for 45 minutes walk, all these things you cannot do. So you need to cut down your calories. So sugar is the first point contact where I can say you can.
Shall I stop white sugar completely?
Completely. That will help. And along with that, you can have
for sweet cravings.
Sweet cravings, you can add little bit of sugar free, like in the form of sucralose or stevia. Both you can have. So like chena, cottage cheese. So if it's possible, you can have that also. You can have little dahi also. Hanka, like Amul ka jo dahi hota hai, that is very thick. So you can have that with little bit of sugar. I mean sugar free. So that will adapt to your like sweet cravings. That will be covered. At the same time, you'll get good amount of protein from that also.
Doctor, can I use sugar free in my tea?
Yes, you can. You can. To share my experience, I am diabetic for 26 years. I am having sugar free. I don't have tea at all. That's a different. But whenever I have something sweet, I have it with sugar free. You can have either sucralose or stevia. These are the 2 compositions. And in India, sucralose is sugar-free natura, stevia is sugar-free green. These are the 2 things which you can have. You can even like some vegetables, you want to have it little mitha. So you can have that also. Like some kheer sort of, you can have one pot meal with like little bit of milk, either sevai or suji or chawal, and make it into a kheer, and you put on sugar free, so you will have a dessert, at the same time carb and protein, everything will go.
Doctor, I just saw you spoke about green vegetables, leafy vegetables. They are high in potassium. We can't take green once a week.
You can take, I'm not saying, but who are always on the higher potassium side, you have it after leaching. For everyone, you have it after leaching. But as Mr. Farooq and Ms. Dr. Bharti both always have potassium on the higher side. That's why I said, Don't have it on a regular basis, once in a while, or just the day you are having dialysis, that prior to that dialysis.
I was considering to take a few sips of beet juice. Can I take just a few sips of beet juice, beet and carrot juice?
For what? That won't increase your hemoglobin level.
Because we make it fresh every day for the children. So I was thinking of taking just 2 sips.
You can take, but the main thing is, if you consider that for your hemoglobin, increase your movement, but carrot and beetroot juice won't increase your hemoglobin level.
Okay.
Okay. So that's a misconception also we have, that whatever is red, that helps us in increasing our hemoglobin level. It's not that.
Okay. Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
Anjali, you are muted.
So what I wanted to ask you is that there are so many, substitutes for sweet. So we have these substitute sweeteners. The one that's now becoming very, very popular is monk fruit sweetener. That is MONK, monk fruit, without having the erythritol, which is supposed to help with weight loss. So if you get monk fruit sweetener, does it help a kidney patient on dialysis better than, say, stevia or anything, or is it one in the same?
Frankly, from my experience, I would say I do not have any supporting literature of monk fruit sweetener with kidney patients, maybe CKD, maybe dialyzed and non-dialyzed. So all these sweeteners which are from plant sources, they might contain a good amount of potassium. So I don't want them to burden with potassium. So till such time I do not have any literature, I cannot commit anything. That will be wrong from my end.
Darling, I have 30 sweeties.
Pardon?
I have lots of sweet teeth in my mouth. Not one sweet tooth, 30 sweet tooth.
So Sejal is the person who is the biggest junk eater, and her Sprite and her Coke days are also there. So I know when she's trying to say she
I have
needs
stopped Coke. I have stopped Coke.
See,
But
if you feel like having Coke on a dialysis day, prior to dialysis, have Diet Coke. You will have Coke, at the same time you won't have sugar in it. So your calorie maintenance will be there.
Okay.
Directly avoid this white sugar, any sources of white sugar.
So we do have Sejal, mute yourself now. Masika. Okay, so we have somebody on Facebook Live whose name is Rachiraj Anil Kumar, sorry, and he's been on dialysis from 2000 till now. He's pure vegetarian and his pump speed is 320, but still his potassium is high.
Again, the same problem. If you're like, you must leach your vegetables before having it. As I said, dal, if your potassium is on the literally on the very higher side, so avoid the dal on those days. Just prior to dialysis, you can have that. Otherwise, just discard the top water, have the thicker portion. Green leafy vegetables you avoid. So few vegetables are there. I can name a few, like which are potassium is little on the higher side, like red amaranth leaves. Their potassium is too high. Like what should I say? Plantain ka, like banana, this flower, banana stem, green banana. These all have a elevated potassium. Coriander leaves have a very high potassium. So these are the basic things. When you see that your potassium is on the elevated side, even curry leaves, one or two thoda sa chalk mein, it's not an issue. But if you have, I don't know what preparations you all have, if you are from South, or if you have anything like chutney sort of a thing with coriander and curry leaves, it is better to reduce the amount. Because potassium is such a bad nutrient, I should say, that directly impacts your heart. So I'm not alarming anything, but you should be very cautious about your potassium level on a regular basis. That I can say.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm so happy that everybody is joining in. Sam, we can't really answer your question today because it's about your AVF thrombosed fistula and a calcified fistula. For that, you really need to go immediately and see your nephrologist, who would probably tell you to go and get a Doppler scan done of the same. In the meanwhile, that we've answered some of the questions from FB Live, but whether Tejas or Farooq or Sejal would have any more questions to ask or doubts, and even Sachin. Oh, yes. Okay, Farooq, you can go first since you put your hand up.
Yes, doctor has spoken about sugar substitutes. I was
Yes.
wondering how good a substitute honey is.
See, honey, one problem is there when you are buying a bottle of honey, you do not know the source of the honey. So that is a major thing. And the fructose or sucrose content, depending on the source of honey, may be little higher. And again, it comes to the potassium content. But if you are having a half teaspoonful of honey, that won't harm much. But this sugar, like if you are having tea, if you are having dahi, if you are having little bit of chena, little or milk as a dessert, so these are the few things and you want to have it on a regular basis. So I would suggest instead of honey, you can have little this artificial sweetener which does not contain erythritol, which already Anjali has mentioned.
Okay. And one last question, please.
Yes.
How is corn as a substitute for rice or wheat? Is that okay?
Corn is basically nothing but carb only. It's also a carb sources, but its potassium is around 260. So instead of a one roti or one rice, a little bit of rice, you can substitute that. It's not a problem.
Oh,
Otherwise, it's not very high in fat. Carbs are also not too high. So you can have. It's not that you cannot have. This potassium
all
is
right.
260,
Thank you.
100 grams of baby corns or sweet corns. This potassium is little on the high side, but you can have that. It's not that you cannot have.
Thank you.
Dr. Bharti, do you have any more questions? Unmute yourself, please.
One thing I would like to know, ma'am, like, say if there is a higher side of the phosphorus, because in my case, there were chances like, if I had several, I mean, the phosphorus binders, that could also trigger my seizures and things like that. So just wanted to know how do I cut down on phosphorus, because it's like the borderline majority of the times for me, and I can't avoid curd rice, uh, which is
See,
my
as you are liking curd rice, I'm not saying you have minimum phosphorus should come from that. It's coming from that. But for egg, I would suggest egg yolk contains a good amount of phosphorus. So if you are having egg, have 2 or 3 egg whites. So
okay.
that will reduce your direct phosphorus intake.
Okay.
Or you are not having fish or chicken, because all non-veg items are rich in phosphorus. Either milk and milk products, egg, fish and chicken, these are all rich in phosphorus. So if you need to have that, your curd rice is your favorite. So you reduce your egg yolks.
Okay. And
All
you
right.
told,
Okay.
oh, sorry, ma'am. Just a
No, no,
small
no, you
question.
carry on. Yeah.
Yeah. You told to avoid white sugar, but in cases like us, like where we are higher on the potassium, so we can't be taking jaggery. We'll have to stick to white sugar itself.
No, I
So,
told Sejal because of her overweight. And she
okay.
has bony problems. She had so many surgeries. So I cannot tell her to walk for half an hour or 40 minutes. But she
Okay.
has to reduce her body weight. So just because of that, I told her that minimum sources of sugar you should cut down, so that those are for nothing calories add up to your total calories. Because with
Right.
except tongue, it doesn't have any impact on your body except adding calories to your diet.
Thank you so much.
Doctor, we now have some questions from the house that has come from FB Live. One is from Pragati Anu, who's a very, very active person on all the WhatsApp groups about food and everything else. She wants to know, can a dialysis patient take garlic stem and garlic bulb? How much potassium is there in the stem and bulb? And also, can a dialysis patient take jackfruit on day? How much potassium will 100 grams of jackfruit have after leaching?
See, after leaching, we cannot assess. We can say before as a fruit I can say, as a vegetable I can say, but as on a whole after leaching, that I cannot say. Jackfruit raw potassium content is 327. 100 grams of jackfruit, raw jackfruit, that gives to 327. So you can consider after leaching 50%, usually 40 to 60 we say. So if you consider 50%, that comes to 160 around potassium from 100 grams of jackfruit you will get.
Right. And we also have another question from Ajit Lakshmi Ratan, who says, what about substituting dalia for rice?
Dalia is nothing but crushed wheat. So you are not having chapati, you are having dalia. Doesn't make any difference. Both roti, I mean dalia and rice, they have a good amount of carbohydrate. So instead of having chapati, you can have dalia. Instead of having rice, you can have. But if you consider your protein part, dalia contains a higher amount of protein. If you consider rice, 100 grams of rice, the amount of protein you will get. If you have 100 grams of dalia, you will have little extra amount of protein from that.
Okay. We also have Rachiraj Anil Kumar asking again, whose potassium is high in spite of his pump being 320. He says that he has undergone PDA. Will it repeat?
That your nephrologist can only say, because seriously, as a dietitian, we do not recommend, or we do not have any, we do not recommend, basically, I should say. Those are being considered by the nephrologist and the decision by the doctor itself, himself.
So we have Sharma Mukti asking, can we have poha?
Of course you can have. It's poha is nothing but flaked rice. Flaked rice only, which is really good. You can have, and if you want to add little bit of lime juices, few drops of lime juices, that is converted, this poha is converted into a resistant starch, and if you are a diabetic, that helps you a lot for your sugar spike. You can have poha.
Okay. All right. Another thing, and that's what we're trying to highlight, thanks to Vasu ma'am who pointed it out for Ajit, is that it is a diabetic plus a dialysis person together. So that is what is good for a diabetic who's on dialysis.
Good in the sense, for a diabetic dialysis patient, we need to control our calorie. That we have to follow the diabetic regime. But protein, you have to take, and if it's a 3-day dialysis, the way Farooq is maintaining, Mr. Farooq is a diabetic on dialysis patient. So protein is mandatory, and rest parameters entirely depend on if any other, like any cardiometabolic issues, like heart problem, basically heart problem, I should say, any cholesterol issues. So if these are there, then we need to consider the fat intake also. But protein we have to take without any consideration, without compromise. We have to focus on protein, and carbohydrate, it has to be, it's entirely, calorie is patient's height and weight dependent, patient's stature dependent, patient structure dependent. But protein, again, depending on the height and weight, we need to consider at least 1.2 per kg per day for a dialysis patient, hemodialysis patient, a person has to take. And if it's a PD patient, peritoneal dialysis patient, 1.5 gram per kg ideal body weight has to be taken. But we have to consider ideal body weight, because sometimes fluid overload, so edema can be there. So these are the conditions where we cannot exactly find out the exact body weight. There we have to go in for different, like BIA or at BCM and all those investigations. So otherwise, if we have to consider the ideal body weight for that.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am, for all of us, for being able to carry this through, considering we had so many technical.
Sorry.
Yes, tell me, please.
I think while we're on the protein thing, ma'am, I just wanted to ask you कि जैसे सब लोग बोलते हैं, जैसे अभी आपने बताया कि we need to take 1.2 grams per kg body
kg
weight
body weight.
protein. अभी I'll use, as most of us are having eggs. So one egg, I believe it has around 6 grams of protein, roughly.
6.7.
Yeah, so supposing I take it as 6, and if we are having, let's say, 4 eggs, okay, and if you are taking, that is 24 grams of protein, उसमें से कितना प्रोटीन हमारा बॉडी अब्सॉर्ब करेगा, एंड व्हाट वुड हैपन टू द प्रोटीन दैट इज नॉट गेटिंग अब्सॉर्ब्ड?
See, first and foremost, when you are having 4 eggs, as a dialysis patient, I would say you are not supposed to take 4 eggs per day, 4 whole eggs per day. One whole egg, if your phosphorus is within limits, you can take one whole egg. Rest of the eggs will be egg white. Usually, high biological proteins, value proteins, jo hota hai, that means which are non-veg proteins, usually they are biological availability is good. Okay, so in those cases, if you take, and egg white protein is nothing but albumin, which is really good for body, and maximum dialysis patients, renal failure patients, they have their albumin on the lower side. So in those cases, we need to have egg whites, because albumin helps in controlling the good quality protein in your body. So it is absorbed. It is absorbed.
Are you the whatever egg whites that we have? What I'm trying
whatever we are having, it's not all the things are not metabolized in our body. But one thing, like it's an information for sharing, like as a dialysis patient, if you're on a non-dialyzed day, if your creatinine is on the higher side, that means your protein intake is good. Just because of that, because on a non-dialyzed day, your protein cannot come out, your creatinine, urea creatinine cannot come out, so it remains in the blood. So that means your protein intake is good, and what you are having, that is being assimilated. Just because of that, your blood is showing that. Is it clear?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, Anjali.
Thank you so much for joining us, and for everybody who joined us on Facebook Live and is going to be watching this. Do remember that we had a little bit of technical problems. We have Bombay, Calcutta, Bangalore all coming together in one frame. So sometimes technology, as good as it is, does get challenging. But all the questions, thank you so much for it and answering it. If there are any closing thoughts, Ipshita Di, that you would like to say, 3 things that you would tell a dialysis patient to follow.
First and foremost, you should not compromise with your protein intake. First point. Second is, as I said, try to maintain a healthy body weight. And if you do not have any comorbidity, in the sense like as Sejal is having, she cannot roam around and move around, I would suggest Mr. Farooq to take an example, as an example. Just maintain a healthy body weight, do exercise. If nothing happens, simple 30 to 40 minutes, simple walking. If it cannot be done on one go, it can be done on 2 different slots, like 15, 30 minutes, 20, 40 minutes. That way also you can do. But maintain a healthy body weight. Don't overload your salt intake. Always keep a good close watch on your salt intake, fluid intake, protein intake. These are the basic 3 things. You have to keep a close watch on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A big shout out to Vasu ma'am and to Sachin, who have been with us on technical support and always holding everything together. Thank you for everybody for joining. It's so lovely to be with 3 different kind of people who are faced with so many problems and of course, health issues, who have still been able to keep their head above water, inspire all of us to move on. And truly, each one of you inspires us. So I would always say, stay in touch, keep well, and do good work, because that's what's going to take all of us forward. And do join us for our next Kidney Warrior function as well on FB Live, and hope to see all of you really, really soon in person. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Vasu ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Good night. Stay well.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Anjali.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ipshita. Thank you, all of you.
And thank you, Sid, for being online to interpret to Sejal everything that she needed to hear as well. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.